So, I want to try a new thing. I am working in some videos right now, and in the meantime, I wanted to just talk, to put something out there. As you can see, I'm not that groomed. I haven't shaved, I haven't done my hair, I am not dressed up, and that's because this is a ramble. Basically, I just wanted to talk a bit. As you can see behind me are images of Genshin Impact. You wouldn't thought I played Genshin Impact ever, but I have, and a lot. And that's because Genshin, for me, it's a game that's about turning your brain off and just doing stuff while you're listening to a podcast or something like that. It's not the most productive thing, but sometimes I just need that. So, why am I talking about Genshin Impact? Well, there was an event that just now came to an end, and that was Homeward, He Who Cut the Wind, I think it was called. And it was nostalgia baiting. I love it. Basically, it's about this new character. That character is Barca. You can see him right there. And Barca, I don't know him. I don't play Genshin that much, like, for the story, because I don't care. And I don't care about the story of Genshin Impact that much. But I had fond memories of playing it back in 2020. The last thing of the story that I have seen, it's Inazuma. I finished Inazuma, and then I started another account. I don't know this man, you know. So I wasn't like pumped about the new event, but I thought, you know what, let's do it. Let's do the event. Let's see how it is. And this started a bit weird, like, it's full nostalgia bait. You literally start at the beginning of the game again, and there's a lot of elements that I don't have any idea of. Like, I don't know why, but they let you do this event even if you haven't reached Notcry. I think it's the latest region. So I don't know why that is. Like, I don't understand basically anything. Like, who is this man Barca? What are those witches? This apparently is Klee's mom or something like that. I don't know, but I get the gist of it, I guess. And the first part of the event, the main story, the story part, it's full nostalgia baiting. It's full retreading your steps again, and it's like, okay, whatever. And then the second event happens, and it's like, okay, we're trying to do new stuff, like we're trying to play along with the beat of recreating it, but also making a little fun of it, and having these characters, making roles that, you know, it's okay. However, relating to the second part, the second act of the event, there's this boss fight against the girl with the crow and the electro girl with the bow and the crow. I don't know her name, but there's this boss fight against her, and I don't know if it was my gameplay. I don't record gameplay because I didn't think I was going to talk about Genshin, but there was this moment where it's just painful. I don't know if it was my game or it's just a thing that they did, but the music stopped playing at all, and it was just ambient sounds.
Our situation is dire, mein Fräulein.
And that was really funny because also it's the most boring thing I have ever done in a video game. Like, it's just moving around while statues of crows are sliding slowly against the ground, and you have to avoid them. And that's it. That's the whole boss fight, and it's so painfully boring. And that was exacerbated by the lack of music, the lack of any excitement. It was boring. Then I did the third act of the event, And well, again, I don't care about Genshin's story that much. I know people that are like invested in the story and know the character names and the relationships and whatever. I don't. And even then, this story fucking made me mad. Like, this part of the story enraged me. And I don't care about Genshin. I can't imagine how people... I'm not in Genshin's community. I see art in Twitter and Instagram, but I'm not like in Genshin Twitter or whatever, or Tumblr or Mihojo Labs. I think there's a social media for Mihojo games. I don't know how people reacted to this story, but if I were them, I would be fucking mad.
It's a long cutscene.
Because the third act starts where some terror, the first boss fight, that it's redeemed at the end of the original prologue of the game, the first map of the game, in some contrived manner. This reenactment of the prologue of the story has now changed in this simulation or something like that, and basically the acts that led Storm Terror slash Dvalin to be redeemed didn't happen, so the story takes a turn. Basically it's an alternative universe at that point. You fight in this long ass moment in the story where you have to fight. The fight is too easy, but the other thing is like finding the other playable characters. You end that section with Venti, the first Archon, the Wind Archon. This was probably the most important character in the original prologue of the game back in 2020, the first 5-star character. If you don't know what that means, I envy you because you don't know how gacha games work, but whatever. It's an important character, basically. And it was the emotional core in the prologue. Dvalin, Storm Terror, the dragon that terrorizes the first city of the game, it was Venti's friend. And the thing is that Storm Terror, the dragon, was corrupted by some magic from the Abyss Order and whatever. The emotional core of the prologue of the game. The relationship, how Venti wanted Dvalin to be free. This stuff I get from playing the game, but I don't care that much. Venti is the Archon of Wind. He is about being free. Of course, it's the wind element, and the wind in a story is about to be free. And Dvalin, being corrupted, is not free. This is a very thematically interesting element of the story. Dvalin is being corrupted and he has literal chains in the back of his neck, like he is not free. And of course, his friend Archon of Wind, the Archon that wants everyone to be free, is of course hurt by his friend not being free. Why do I tell you this? Because since Storm Terror or Dvalin is not redeemed in this version of the story, the conclusion is made that the group that has been doing these reenactments of the story has to kill Dvalin. Of course, this is not as important as it seems because this is all like a simulation. That's not the real Dvalin, that's not the real Storm Terror. But there's a bit that it's pointed out, a bit as a narrative moment, that it's Venti saying, I am willing to kill Dvalin. I know this is a simulation, but even then, even back then, I was prepared for that possibility. And it's a powerful moment.
You're right. This is the only way.
I know Dvalin means a lot to you. If this is too hard, you can leave it to us, you know? No need to scar yourself over a game, right?
I'll be fine. I was prepared for that possibility back then, too. Let's go. Storm Terror's lair awaits.
So they go and they reenact the original boss fight of the prologue. And that is where everything goes to shit. The boss fight is basically a reskin of the original boss fight of the prologue, which, again, nostalgia baiting, that's okay. Even though the boss fight is replayable in the game once per week, so it's not that like nostalgia inducing. So let's talk about the original boss fight. The original boss fight is not designed to be completed with Venti, or you can complete it with Venti, but it's not designed to be exclusively done with Venti. Even though it would be a powerful moment, they want you to pull or gamble for the possibility of getting Venti, and so Venti is not available for a person that didn't get it at the time. Which is a shame because it would be really fun to have Venti in that fight in the original, but okay, 2020, that was in the past. You now have the opportunity to design, or at least redesign, the original boss fight into making Venti a more important character for the gameplay. This is a game. The narrative beats have to be also supported by gameplay. You have access to Venti in this boss fight. However, if you try to play with Venti, you will do nothing to the Valley. Literally nothing. Instead, what you must do, and it's basically obligatory to do this, is play exclusively as Barca.
Oh yeah, way easier. This is just vodka propaganda, bro, at this point. Holy. Holy. Nice. Damn.
For some context, Barca, right now, as of the time of making this video and as the time of the event, Barca is the character that you can now try to gamble for to get him. So, of course, Genshin devs want you to pull for Barca because that's money for them. If you want to get Barca, you most likely will have to spend money. And if you don't, you might get lucky, but if you don't get it. And that's it. So some people might feel pushed to gamble. And what is a good tactic for making players want to pull for your character? Make them the protagonist. Again, I don't have any fucking idea who Barca is. I don't know him. The character was introduced in the new region of Notcry. Genshin basically with each big patch releases a new region of the map that you can now access and have missions taking place in. I believe that he was released there, so he didn't have any involvement in the original prologue of the game. And for some reason, in the boss fight, he is the most optimal character to play as. The dragon, Zbalin, basically has an armor that you have to break. If you try to break that armor with any other character, it's going to take at least 2 cycles. You can break the armor with one just cycle with Barca. When you break the armor, you have to get on the back of the neck of the dragon and destroy a crystal that is basically what is corrupting the dragon. And if you try to do it with any other character, it's going to do no damage. But with Barca, it's going to do a lot of damage. So basically the game is telling you and incentivizing you to play as Barca. Venti is probably the worst character to play as. You are incentivized to not use Venti. Even though in the cinematic before that, the beat that was marked was that Venti was an important character for this fight, that had an emotional investment in this fight. And you are incentivized to not play as Venti. And why? Because you want to play with Barca, you want to feel that Barca is powerful. So of course you want that Barca is the most efficient character in this. All because you need to pull. And I wish that was the last of the problems. So after you defeat the Balin, the long-ass cinematic plays. And I thought that, okay, they're going to make Barca the most effective character to play in the boss fight, but at least they're going to give Venti a moment in the cinematic. It's not as cool as you yourself playing as Venti in the boss fight and, you know, Venti having that moment in gameplay controlled by you. But, you know, at least they are going to give them a moment in the cinematic. So they give them a moment that lasts about 4 seconds or something. He tries to shot the crystal in the back of the Balin's neck. And that's all. Basically after that, Venti doesn't show up in the cinematic. Instead, what the cinematic really wants you to pay attention to is the sick-ass moves that Barca does, the cool jumps and the running and those extreme camera angles that are so cool and really emphasizes the action and the movement. And I thought, they're not going to do that, right? They're not going to give Barca the final blow, right? They're not going to give the character that wasn't even in the original story the moment to shine, just because he is the character that is now available for you to gamble for, right? They're not gonna do that. They're going to give it to Venti, right? The character that has emotional investment in this moment, that in the cinematic previews to the boss fight has a moment that is remarked upon, like it's a moment that exists. Why would you make that moment if you're not going to deliver? Why? For baiting to do a good story? What? So, of course, Barca is the one to deliver the final blow to the valley. And then the event ends. I truly believe that this is one of the worst examples of a story being butchered because of economical interest. All of this story was built for you to watch this cool character and want to pull on the gachapon for him. If you're trying to treat this story as pure nostalgia baiting, there's an intruse character that isn't anywhere near in the ballpark of the original story, and then you try to shove them in as the main character of the story, even though they weren't even near that region in that time. He isn't invested in any of the emotional stuff that happened in the original prologue of the game. He's a character that was recently introduced, that out of nowhere is shoved as the main character, that is playing an important role in a story that has no emotional baggage for them. And as an introduction for this character, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I don't want to fucking see him. I want to see Venti confront an hypothetical story where he had to kill the Valin, because that's the story that was set up for him to resolve. But no, the story is not about that. The story is about the brand new character you can spend your money on. And I can't imagine of someone that really has investment in this story and even was there back then in 2020, or even people who started this journey 3 years ago or 2 years ago. That people that are invested in the story, I can't believe that they are okay with this. And if they are, what the actual fuck? Just because it has good animation, the last cinematic, and it kind of hints to Venti having feelings at all about this kind of ordeal, like that isn't enough. That isn't enough. I am enraged as a person that, yes, I played Genshin Impact back then in 2020. I had a shitty phone that couldn't even run the cinematics because it was too much for the phone. I didn't watch the cinematics back 5 years ago, and I am enraged. Imagine people who actually care about this about Venti or the prologue of the game that has nostalgia for that prologue. I'm repeating myself, but you're trying to make a nostalgia baiting story about a character that has to confront that situation that he thought it was resolved already, and out of nowhere you bring this character and end up making them the protagonist because you want people to pull. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's just fucking ridiculous. So anyway, that was a ramble. I just wanted to talk about this, and well, I did. This is not what I usually do. I usually do stuff that it's actually written and somewhat researched. But you know, I just wanted to talk about it. So now that I'm here, I wanted to talk about a bit about the channel and do a little channel update. So remember when I promised those videos about Utena and JoJo's Visual Adventure? Well, I've been scripting them, but so I have ADHD. that's a crazy start, but I have diagnosed ADHD, and when my brain sees something cool and shiny and new, it's like I'm going to pursue that thing. And well, That new shiny thing was an idea about making a retrospective about Ryan Johnson, a Ryan Johnson retrospective. So I watched, at the end of last year, I watched Wake Up Dead Man, the new Knives Out movie, and I, out of nowhere, thought I should make a Ryan Johnson retrospective. And so I begin doing that. I've been writing it. The thing is that I'm just starting the second movie, the second feature film, because I'm going to talk about the short films that he did before jumping into the big screen. And I have written like 2,000 words more than the Skins video. And the Skins video was almost half an hour long. And I'm just starting to talk about the second film. It's going to be a long wait, I believe. I think it's going to be longer than an hour. So I don't know when that would come out. I'm also working on another video that is going to be a bit of a surprise. I don't know if it's going to perform well at all because I don't even have viewers that watch all my videos or recurring viewers. But you know, I wanted to do something, so wish me luck with that one. That has been the Moonlight Potato, and I'll see you hopefully this month. While statues of while statues of while statues of statues statue statues I don't give a fuck.